Hello and welcome to Spotlight on right here on S24 Television, where we engage the minds and voices shaping the future of our society. Today, we shift our focus to a story not just of resilience, but of purpose, compassion, and transformation. In a world where many are weighed down by life challenges, some individuals rise above them not only to survive, but to create meaningful change for others. Our spotlight today is on a remarkable woman whose life experiences have become a driving force for impact, from navigating personal trials to becoming a voice for the underserved rather. She has dedicated herself to bridging critical gaps in access to healthcare, nutrition, and education, especially for underprivileged and special needs communities. Joining us today is Ahmed Fatima, widely known as Zara Unscripted, a passionate advocate and a woman whose strength has been shaped, not shaken, by life reality. Zara, it's truly a pleasure to have you on seat today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, before we dive into the main conversation of today, can you introduce yourself to us? Who is Zara Unscripted?
Okay, so my full name is Fatima Ahmed Aminu, widely known as Zara Unscripted. I am a mother, a wife, a caregiver, a sister, a civil servant, an entrepreneur, and most importantly, an advocate for special needs children.
Your story seems to be, deeply personal and powerful. When you look at, when you look back, how would you describe your experience? How would you say your experience have shaped what you've become today?
Personally, due to my lived experience as a mother who has two special needs children, I think the best part of it is having two children that are special needs that came into my life and changed the perception I have of life. Personally, now I don't take life for granted. The little things you think to some people might seem irrelevant, to some of us, families like us, are very important, are very crucial, and it shapes the way we think, it shapes the way we view life, and the way we perceive what life and humanity is all about.
Many people go through challenges, but not everybody use that a challenge to be an inspiration.
Yeah.
What's inspired the shift for you?
I think looking at the gap that we have in the society, as a mom who has two children with special needs, living in a country like ours, unfortunately, we're in a place where we do not have social service welfare. The support is quite limited, resources are limited. So when you have children that have critical needs, and you lack some of these basics that these children rely on, it makes it quite difficult. So for some of us, like for someone like me who has seen how challenging this life can be having such children, I was able, like before, I wasn't like this all the time. It took time to be able to heal, to learn, and to adapt to the reality of the life that I have. So I'm a person that is coming from a place of pain to purpose. So that became my driving force.
So talking about pain to purpose, so many people know Zara Unscripted,
Yeah.
and they know you as another advocate. We have so many advocates, but can you drive us into your life experience a bit? Can I say poke nose into your life experience a bit?
Okay, so let me break it down. So like I said, I have two special needs children, but they have different diagnoses. So I have a 10-year-old who has cerebral palsy, and I have a 6-year-old who has Down syndrome, and she's also on the autism spectrum. So these are different diagnoses. It's a different ball game altogether. You can't compare a child with cerebral palsy to a child that has Down syndrome and also a comorbidity, autism. So it's a whole lot you deal with. You have to read, you have to research, you have to understand your child's journey, and you have to be in good relationship with the professionals that are managing your children. So for me, advocacy became like a lifeline, not just for me, but for other families. Because whatever I do, I try as much as possible to make parents like me understand that the first step towards being successful in this journey, it's not an easy journey, it's for you to first understand your child's diagnosis. It doesn't come easy, but with time, you learn to adapt and you learn to focus and move forward with your life.
Zara, these activities, all of these movements you've counted, would I say it's much more easier because you are educated? What gap have you experienced, especially for less educated mothers or parents? how do they begin to bridge this gap, understanding the symptoms, understanding the illness of the children, and building this relationship with our medical practitioner, knowing even the level of, would I say, incompetency or um, um, lack of
Access
support
to
from our
resources,
medical
yes.
practitioners?
So let me shock you. So when you have a child that has special needs, you do not have to be educated to understand. You just have to be intentional. So these are two different things. I have met mothers who have never been to a classroom, but they understand their child's diagnosis because they are intentional and they want to be part of that child's life, and they want to be able to see that that child has a qualitative life, and a life that it might not be much to these families, but they try as much as possible. They try how best they can. I have seen mothers who don't even speak English go to doctors and they ask questions because they are interested and they want to make sure that these children are well taken care of. So it's all about the intention. There are educated people that still hide their children.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, there are so many educated people who feel these children are a burden. I don't want to be associated with this child. So it doesn't have to be, it has nothing to do with being literate. It has everything to do with intentionality.
Just being a parent.
Yes.
So what gap have you actually noticed during your time of advocacy?
Wow.
Why has it pushed you
Lack of access to healthcare for these families, lack of access to inclusive education, lack of access to nutrition, proper nutrition, because we're talking about the underserved communities. These are families that can barely feed.
Yes.
So imagine when you're struggling to put one meal on the table and you're saddled with the responsibility of having a child that comes with complex needs. And you have to start thinking, how do I take care of this child? What am I supposed to do? And so a lot of times we have seen children that become severely malnourished because the parents have nothing to offer these children. These are some of the gaps that I have seen. And so more or less over the years, we became like a bridge builder between these families and having access to all these things.
So access to healthcare, access to nutrition, where do you think the biggest problem lies in Nigeria?
I think the biggest problem is in our policies, lack of support. We have policies, but implementation is the greatest issues that we have. Now, for me personally, I feel we have policies on paper, right? We have policies that are being brought up every now and then. But when you're bringing up policies, we are not on the round table. We are the families that have first-hand experience with these children. So these politicians, our government officials, do not really understand the needs of our children. So we have policies that are not implemented that affects us as families who have these children. So it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
So how far have we gone as a nation if decisions are made on the table and the people who are actually affected are not on the table?
I think
how far have we gone with this advocacy?
we have not gone anywhere yet, because I cannot tell you I've been called by any official to sit with me and say, okay, Zara, we've been seeing your videos, you've been clamoring for this. How do we come and help? So we are nowhere. To be honest with you, we are nowhere.
So, Zara, before coming to the challenges you have experienced, let's talk about what this advocacy at least have done. How far have we gone with trying to help families who are going through this?
For the advocacy, we've gone far. Like over the years, I've been in this for close to 6 years now. I lost count of how many children we have helped over the years. I had the privilege of bringing children from outside Nigeria to get medical access. Children from Burkina Faso, children from Cameroon, bring them into Nigeria to have access to healthcare. This happened because of advocacy. This happened because someone decided to share a particular video and it went viral, and people now started calling. People now started saying, oh, so I'm not alone. Oh, there's a parent like me who's doing amazing for herself and she's helping these children. So over the years, we have helped I can safely say we have helped over 5,000 children over the years.
Wow.
Yes.
Would you agree with me if I say it is a shocking good news to hear that some people are actually coming from other countries to, get treatment from Nigerian hospitals, where we know we citizens, Nigerians, try as much as possible to get the funding to leave the country to get healthcare from other countries. So how have you gotten to this level, even without the support of the government?
Like I said, we deal with families that are from the underserved, underprivileged communities. These families that I was able to bring into this country are families that are still the underserved families. And for us, what we do is through our advocacy, we do a lot of fundraising campaigns from individuals, good meaning Nigerians that have been supporting over the years. They have been flooding in, making phone calls, sending DMs, how do I support a particular cause? We've had, over the years, I've had people that have been sponsoring particular children for close to 5 years now. I think I have 5 children that are being supported by 5 different people that don't know me from anywhere. This is just through the advocacy that I have been able to put up on my pages, on social media, and people see the value. People want to tap into these causes. People want to be part of it. Yeah. So it has been quite amazing.
From our conversation, is it that no support at all is coming from our federal government?
No, none. These are just from individuals like you and I that see what I do and they support the causes, but not from any government.
So let's move on to another aspect of our conversation. You've been talking about nutrition. For so many parents, especially for those who are actually keeping their children away for the spotlight, I think if you keep your problem away, you might not get help. What does this have to do with the kind of nutrition they should have? Do they have a special kind of nutrition? And how are you even getting support for that?
Okay, for some of these children, not all, some children are okay. Like I said earlier, I mentioned a word, comorbidity. Now, comorbidity simply means when a child has multiple diagnoses. Some of these children have not 1 but 2 diagnoses, like my daughter who has Down syndrome and is also on the autism spectrum. We have a lot of other children who are on the spectrum, autism, and also maybe ADHD or cerebral palsy with autism or sickle cell with cerebral palsy. These are comorbidities. Now, sometimes when you have a child that has comorbidity, or not even when a child has comorbidity, some of these conditions bring about a lot of disrupt in the system of a child. And so you find a child being a picky eater or allergic to some certain kinds of food. So it's only when you understand and you work with professionals that can be able to guide you. That's why for a lot of these children, you have to work with dietitians. Your child has to be on a diet plan. Some children might not be able to tolerate nuts. Some children might not be able to tolerate some certain kinds of food. And so you have to be able to understand, eliminate, and work with your dietitian to help you bring a balanced diet meal. Now, coming back to the underserved communities, these are families that lack access to the food. And so we're not even talking about a balanced meal because they don't even have access to these meals, not to talk of having a balanced meal. So it's a whole lot challenging for such families.
Zara, permit me to go quite personal away from advocacy now. For a mother who have 2 special need kids, this is a story of strength and actually passion. What are those moments that tested you more?
I think for me, the most defining moment of my life is waking up one morning and realizing I just don't have 1 but 2 children who are special needs. Number 1, it can be quite overwhelming. But what I did for myself was to allow myself to feel whatever feeling it is. I feel those feelings and I seek for help when I need help. Now, I'm a person that has invested a lot on my mental health. Being able to be sane in this journey is very important because you know the famous saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're empty, you can't give what you don't have. So you have to be whole to be able to take care of these children. And then looking at these children, when you look at them and you see that they depend on you, they rely on you, you cannot afford to break. It is quite challenging. Over the years, I have learned to delegate. I don't do everything myself. I have learned to delegate, and that's the mistake a lot of parents do. Most of the times, you feel you have to be the one to do everything for that child. You can learn to delegate. Like my daughter is in school right now. Someone else is taking care of that child, and I'm here. And my son is at home. He has nannies taking care of him, so I can have time for me. So that has worked for me over the years. That has worked for me over the years.
Talking about delegating, not all parents have the support. Coming back to, this is Africa, Nigeria, where we are guided by religion and culture. Some people do not even know what special need means. Some people might be relating this to being spiritual.
Yes, a lot of times.
So
yes.
For those especially for mothers, even if they accept these children, some husbands are not even ready, to give the support. So these people don't even get this delegate you were talking about. For those categories of parents, what would you say about them?
For those category of parents, like you said, we're Africans, right? We're cultural and we're grounded by religion. We have extended families. You didn't just fall from the tree. You have someone, you have a sister, you have a cousin, you have a grand auntie or a grandmother or someone. Respite. You need respite. Someone can just take care of that child for a couple of hours so you can rest. Because if you keep giving and giving, trust me, you will hit a wall and there will be nothing left for you to give. And we have been doing community outreaches. We have gone to places that people don't even visit because of, insecurity that we have. But we have been to communities where we have met families live in communal living in the villages. So you always have someone who will come in and check up on you and say, okay, can I help you with this child? But then, like you said, some of these people relate these children to being possessed or erua. We know the famous saying of erua, and that is why advocacy is very important. We have gone to so many communities, we have spoken to these families, we have made them understand that these are not children that you relate to Enrua or Aljanu or what have you. These are children that just have some form of neurological problems, and taking them to the hospital, they might not be 100% okay, but at least you're giving them a chance to live a dignified life. And trust me, over the years, we have convinced a lot of mothers to start coming into town to bring their children for medical support.
That's you guys have gone a long way with that.
We have,
and
we
have
have.
so many other mothers, because in as much as you must have done a lot, there's so many people still hiding on corner, not wanting to come out to speak up to get the help they need. So for people who do not even realize they might be having children with special needs, at what point do you realize your kids actually are kids with special needs?
So when you have a child, there are milestones you need to check. At some certain point in a child's life, like when you give birth to a newborn child, the child is expected to start holding his or her neck by 3 months, right?
Yes.
When you notice the child doesn't have neck control, there might be an issue. Like a child reaches 4 months, 5 months, and there's no neck control. Obviously, there's something going on, there's something wrong. And then at 6 months, you should be able to see a child sitting unsupported, right? Even though children grow at different pace, but there are milestone checkers that you need to check off your list. Okay, neck control, check. Sitting unsupported, check. Learning how to crawl. These are milestones, and when your child is not hitting any of these milestones, is a source for concern, and you should seek medical support.
So finally, before we move from this segment to our next segment, let's talk about the healthcare, the challenges, because it can be very difficult when you're not getting the support from the professionals.
Yes.
Leaving out the medical doctors, let's talk about the hospitals, the equipment. How has this made the advocacy difficult? Who are even the people treating your children, the special needs that you're bringing from other countries, if we're not getting the support from the government?
Well, we have professionals. For typical example, when you have a child that has cerebral palsy, that child is supposed to be reviewed by a pediatric neurologist. So we have pediatric neurologists, but I can say that we're a bit short-handed when it comes to some of these professionals. Like for example, I'll give you an example. I have children in Sokoto State that I manage, and they will tell you that they have to wait 3 to 4 months before a pediatric neurologist visits to that hospital in Sokoto. So imagine waiting for 5 months when you have a child, because sometimes when a child has cerebral palsy, he might or she might have other neurological problems like having convulsions, epilepsy, and stuff like that. So imagine waiting for 5 months just for your child to be reviewed by a doctor. It's a long stretch. It is a long wait. So these are some of the few problems we're having. And then you talk about equipment. We have general hospitals that reach out. I have personally done fundraising to buy a phototherapy machine for a particular hospital. Yes.
For a government-owned hospital.
Exactly. I have done a fundraising campaign to buy an oxygen concentrator that you use for an incubator what do you call them, premature babies. So these are some of the few challenges that we're facing in the healthcare. There are medications we call emergency medications. Now, when you have a child that has convulsions, when you take that child to the hospital, that convulsion is supposed to be aborted almost immediately. But some of our public hospitals do not have the immediate emergency medication to abort that seizure at that particular point in time. And you imagine sitting down as a mother, watching your child convulsing over and over, and then you're written a prescription to go out and go and get a medication to come back. It's too much.
It's so sad for a country like Nigeria. So, lastly, what do you think the government should do that they are not doing?
I think our policies shouldn't just be on paper. It should be implemented, and we should have people checking that these things are implemented. Hospitals need to be fully equipped with tools, equipment, resources. Doctors need to be paid well, because that's why we're having the JAPA syndrome, because doctors are underpaid, they are understaffed, they're overwhelmed. So a lot of times, I don't even blame the doctors, because you can't keep working in an environment that is not enabling. It's not comfortable, it's not conducive. You lack access to simple equipment that can change and save lives. So it's a lot. So if the government can sit down and iron out these issues, these are things. How much is an oxygen concentrator? I think it's less than 1.5 million. It's not expensive. How much is a phototherapy machine? It's close to that amount, 1.5, 2 million highest. It's not something that is overly expensive. So these are things that can be bought, and they should be functional, not just buying them, making sure that these things are functional. And we should also have that mentality of ensuring that when something spoils, we can be able to actually fix it. So we don't have piles and piles and piles of equipment sitting down there doing absolutely nothing when we have children whose lives depend on these things.
Thank you so much, Zara. We'll be moving to the next segment.
Thank you.
This has been a very interesting segment and very sad as well, because we should do better as a country.
Yes.
Because we seem to have a different priority from what is important. So this is the rapid fire segment where you are allowed to just give one answer.
Okay.
You just pick one answer.
Okay.
So, strength or resilience?
Strength.
What defines you more?
Strength.
Passion or purpose?
Passion.
One word to describe your journey so far.
One word to define, let's see. I think it should be resilience.
Okay, you just said strength the other time.
Yeah, this is resilience,
Okay.
yeah.
So, healthcare or education, which needs more urgent attention?
Why do I need to choose one?
You
Because both are in critical condition.
urgent, much more urgent.
Healthcare.
Yes, we need life for us to go to school.
Healthcare.
Challenges, stepping stone or setback?
Stepping stone.
Can one person truly make a difference?
Yes.
Awareness or action, which matters more?
Awareness.
Okay. What keeps you going on difficult days?
Purpose.
Okay, so hope or reality, which shapes your work more?
Hope.
So one word for the future you envision?
Impact.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much, Zara. Thank you for sharing your story and your inspiring work with us. What stands out from this conversation is that strength is not just about endurance. It is about transformation. Turning pain into purpose and purpose into impact is what truly changes life. Your journey reminds us that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to rise and, more importantly, to lift others along the way. And on that note, we conclude today's edition of Spotlight on Stay Inspired, Stay Compassionate, and continue to be a light in someone else's story. My name is Zainab Ibrahim.